Open up the door, it's Dave!
Who?
Dave! D-A-V-E!
Dave?
Right, man, Dave.
Dave's not here.
I have a little story to tell. It's the evening and I just left one of these market research companies, and there was something interesting that happened. So a few days ago, maybe a week or so ago, I got a letter in the mail, and it was from one of these market research companies, and they asked me if I would like to participate in a survey because I owned a 2019 Model 3 Tesla. And I said, sure, that sounds great. My wife had done some work with this market research company before, so she knew this was legit and it was on the up and up. So I went ahead and called them and set up an appointment. And as I'm talking to the guy on the phone, he's telling me, yeah, this is about your 2019 Tesla. We have some questions we want to ask you, blah, blah, blah. And so I went through the pre-screening. And one of the questions he asked me was, what would you be willing to spend on another car if you were going to replace your Tesla? And I said, I don't know, maybe about $45,000. And he said, are you sure it wouldn't be a little bit more? And I said, sure, I'd consider at least another car that was more expensive if it was the right make and model. He goes, great, you're in. So that was perfect. So about a week later, I was set up to come in and actually do the market research. Now, I went into the building and I had no preconceived notions about what they were going to be doing. Now, I have to be honest here and say they had me sign a non-disclosure agreement. They did give me some information about something upcoming, and I can't talk about that. But what I can tell you is it was kind of an interesting moment of going in there and doing this market research. They went through a series of, I'll just say, questions about cars and the car buying experience, and talked about some specific models and some things and different things. And there was a lot of different people in there. Some had electric vehicles, some didn't. And I just found it really interesting. And it was kind of fun to sit there for an hour. And the best part was they gave me some cash money, which was really great. So I walked away after I was in there for about an hour with a little bit of money in my pocket, which was kind of cool. So anyway, I'm finishing up, and when I get to the end, they ask me, would you be interested in coming back for a second round of interviews, of more of a focus group, to talk about your car some more and answer some more specific questions? And I'm like, yeah, okay. So they had me come back tonight and actually go back in the room, and I sat there with 5 other people. I guess it was 5 total, me and 4 other people. And we answered some very specific questions. There were some people who didn't drive EVs, me who drives the Tesla. And then, it was just a series of questions. And the reason we got selected was because in the first part where we were sitting in the room, we had answered a question a very specific way. They were interested in one thing, one tangible thing about us. And so when we answered that question that way, we became candidates to come through this second round of interviews. And so it was really kind of interesting. We go in the room, and I got to tell you, in both cases, one of the things they don't want, because it's non-disclosure type stuff, they have you put your phone away and actually put it in a locker. So you can't use your phone, you can't take it out, and they ask you to take off your watch and other things. They want to make sure there's no recording devices. So I can just generally tell you it was kind of interesting to answer these questions. Now, one of the things that happened was they were talking about my electric vehicle and my experience with my electric vehicle, and whether I thought it was usable in the way that it is, with the way the battery is, and did I have any issues with it? And they asked the other people if they would consider buying an electric, and so on. So it was kind of interesting to hear the perspective of people who thought, it takes a long time to charge, or it takes a while to actually, you have to worry about where you're going to charge and those kinds of things. And I thought it was really interesting to hear people's perspectives on the car. And that reminds me, I'm going to have to do some more videos about charging and sort of that method that goes along with it, that you really don't worry about it. I don't worry about charging my car basically ever. And it was kind of fun when one question came up to answer the question about what was the thing that drew me to my Tesla. And the simple answer is, and I've talked about this before, I wanted an electric car. I wanted to get away from gas-powered vehicles. And so I picked the Tesla as a reasonable model, and there were 2 big things about it. 1, it was a readily available electric model that was in my price range. And 2, it was a car that has a charging network that makes it a heck of a lot easier to charge, which led to a whole series of discussions about how easy it is to charge and whether I would consider another car, and so on and so on. But I just thought that was really fascinating to kind of get into that discussion and talk about those things. And it was kind of neat. And I just wanted to share that with you. It was just sort of a short video just to tell you about this experience that I had, where it was kind of neat to talk about my electric car and answer some questions for this market research company about something else that they're thinking of. And I really won't say anything more than that about it. I will tell you one funny thing. There was a simulated circumstance where we were going through and we were answering questions about the car buying experience. And you have to go through sort of an electronic version of pretending you're doing a car buying online. And I got to the end and I asked the person, hey, so when is my car going to be delivered? Which made him go, huh? It's just kind of a funny moment. But anyway, that's the story. And I really was kind of fascinated by the whole thing and understanding how this market research business works. I'd never been through one of these market research type things quite like this. And, you know, there's a guide taking us through it and asking us some very specific questions about things they wanted to know. And the best part again was there was a little bit of money at the end. So it was kind of nice to be able to talk about my car, talk about my experience, and talk about other cars, and really think about sort of the battery EV world and kind of how that works. And I think it's kind of interesting. And one thing that one person in the focus group said, hey, I know the world is moving this way. I may not like it because I really like my loud car and I like that feeling like I'm driving something, but I know it's coming and I'll have to adapt to it. There you go. I mean, that's really what it's all about with these electric cars. So that's it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
What's your point, David?